Have you ever wished you could explore every nook and cranny of the Brady Bunch home? Well, today's your big chance. Come join me. We're going to explore the heck out of that place. Hi, I'm Marina Coates from Mockingbird Lane. Welcome to Behind the Scenes, where we get up close and personal with all of your favorite TV and movie homes. Today is part one of the Brady Bunch home. We're going to be exploring the entryway, the living room, Mike's den, the dining room, and that mysterious place under the stairs. Let's get started. The first place we're going to head to is the entryway. When I started modeling the home, one of the first things I wanted to see more than anything was walking through the front door as if I was a visitor. Because when we were watching the show, we would see them open the door and we would just get a little glimpse inside the house. We would see from their view, looking outside at who was coming to the door. But how often did we ever get to see what it looked like if you walked in right from the front door? Well, the answer is never. And so that was why it was the first thing I wanted to do. So about day one, that's what I got done, just so I could stand there and look in. Once I got that modeled and got this view, I just stood there for a while and looked at it. Now recently I was lucky enough that I was invited to get to tour the Brady Bunch house while HGTV was working on it. Now it wasn't finished yet at the time. There was still, I think, 6 weeks left, but there was enough of it there that when I walked in the front door, all this came flooding into my mind of I'd been modeling it, and here I was standing in it and looking at it. And I'm sure you've seen online, they've posted images of this room and what it looks like, and they just nailed it. I'm going to put some links below to some of the sites that show this view that HGTV has posted online for us, so you can look at it yourself, see what you think. They did awesome. But let's back up. Before we go any further, let's take a look at the exterior. This is the exterior we're shown on TV, but in reality, these parts of the home don't belong here. How do we know they don't belong? Well, we know that this is the front door and entryway we are shown on the set from the inside. The stone wall from the front door to the end of the entry looks to be approximately 7 feet wide. How did I come up with that number? By counting the bricks underneath the wall. The trouble is that would translate to the house stopping roughly at this point on the exterior of the home we're shown on TV as being the outside of the house, which means the house should stop about here, and it obviously doesn't. It keeps going. The same is true of Mike's den. It would stop approximately here, and yet we're shown a house that continues on past that point. So the bottom line is, the house that we know from the curb simply does not fit the layout of the home that we see on the inside. It slowly dawned on me as I was modeling it that it would look a lot different, and I was curious, how different? Gone is the nice long ranch style we're shown on TV. It's actually quite boxy, and we see the garage clearly now. It's not obstructed by the house. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's continue with our tour. Another interesting thing I noticed about the entryway as I was researching it to model the home is that sometimes the wall in the entryway had stone on it, and that's what we're most used to seeing. But in season 5, they got rid of the stone and just had a blank wall there. I think the stone looks a lot better. I don't know why they did that. One of the many things about the Brady Bunch house that makes it interesting is the different levels. So you could say it has a sunken living room because there's 2 steps down into the living room from the entryway, but the kitchen doesn't go back up again, so it's really that whole level from there on is sunken. But then it has the 3 steps up to the landing of the stairs and then goes back down again, sinks down so that Mike's den is a sunken den. It's just one of the elements that makes us fall in love with this home. Now let's go explore the living room. In the living room, we see a 4th wall that was never there on the show. Parts of it were shown to us from time to time, but we never got a view like this. One of the views we sometimes get of that 4th wall without the wall there, if that makes sense, is the TV. So we know there is a TV on that wall. There's one time in season 1 when Bobby and Cindy are chasing each other with water guns, and Bobby is standing where the TV would be, and we see behind him on that wall, so we know there's a painting above the TV. So that's how I came up with what I put on that fourth wall. And now we can look at it as if it were a real room. Now let's go check out the dining room. When I was working on the fourth wall of the dining room, I discovered a couple things that I hadn't noticed before. One is that that wall actually had stone on it around the sliding door. And then also, if we look at the outside, you'll see a really good shot here from Hooked on Houses that shows the angle of those 3 sliding doors. And that really helps us understand what's going on inside. Now you'll notice sometimes on the inside they have the dining room table right up against that sliding door wall and parallel with it. But then according to what they needed for the scenes, I'm assuming, sometimes they pull it way out, almost perpendicular to that wall. So it moved around a lot, and I think that's why that causes confusion sometimes for people of where exactly the dining room was and which way the table went. Another thing, you'll notice on the fourth wall in the dining room, I put a hutch there. I did that on a hunch that that's what they would have. But then as I was going through old episodes, in the first season, I actually saw this shot that shows Mike Brady sitting at one end of the dining table, and behind him we see, a hutch. So there was a hutch there. To close up this dining room segment, I have a quiz for you. Do you know where each of the Brady Bunch kids sat around the dining room table? Well, it's actually kind of a trick question because they must have not had assigned seats in the Brady home. Those kids changed seats a lot. And now on from the dining room and into Mike's den. Another view I couldn't wait to see when I was modeling the Brady Bunch house was standing in the den looking out through the fireplace, because we often saw shots from the living room looking through the fireplace into Mike's den, but we never got to see it the other way around, and that's because there was no wall there. And I have a couple views here to show you so you can be standing in that den and looking out and see what you would see. Now about that fourth wall in Mike's den, a couple times in season 1 we're able to see that wall, and they don't show a window there. Now in my stills I added a window there, and here's why. On the outside, if you're looking at the home, you'll see that there's a window approximately where the den would be. It's actually off a little bit, but I went and added the window on that side. But later when I show you the walkthrough, you'll see that I changed it and ended up just letting it be a wall without a window like we were shown on the show. Now another thing about Mike's den is when he's sitting at his drafting table, there's a large window on the side of the home, which actually couldn't be there because as was shown the exterior on the show, the house would continue on, so there couldn't be a window right there. But he had one in his den, so I put one there. In Mike's den, there were some shutters that he could pull closed or leave open so that you could have more privacy or not. Now, you know, you'd still get a lot of noise in there, but the way I've always seen it is they saw Mike Brady as first and foremost a dad, and that he saw that as his main role, and then an architect. So I think that was meant to say, go ahead kids, you can come in and talk to me, doors open, come on in. But also it just looks cool, doesn't it, having that see-through look through the fireplace. Now at one point Greg turns Mike's den into his groovy bedroom. I have a couple stills from the show on that. It's kind of sad but funny, and it was more a story about Greg becoming a young man, and they wanted to show that. And of course it's classic, we all remember that. Later he moves up to the attic, and I'll show that in a different episode. Now let's go check out those iconic stairs and that mysterious hallway underneath. What could be more iconic than those Brady Bunch stairs? You see those stairs, you know immediately where you are. Well, I wanted to examine them a little closer, and especially under the stairs, because there's a little hallway back there that we almost never get to see, just kind of in passing as the camera goes by. Let's get a close-up look at it. But before we go down that little hallway, I want to start with the stairs themselves. In the 80s, they painted the wood, and I really don't think an architect would do that. But let's go back to the way we remember it. I wanted to see what it would look like when you're under the stairs, because the kids hid under there sometimes. We saw that on the Dear Libby episode. We know they would have walked around back there, but what was that view? We have no idea. Let's look. So this is a view looking out from under the stairs, and this is the side view where you can see down into that hallway. Usually the camera was just flying by, but we do get a couple times where they stop there and we get a little peek. I think the planter adds interest because you're looking through it rather than just getting a clear view. Here's another view from under the stairs to the side. And now let's go figure out what's back in that hallway. Well, we were given the answer finally in A Very Brady Christmas in 1988. When they made that movie, they had their grandsons in one scene. I have a shot of it here. They're headed back to that hallway and they said they're going to the bathroom. So now we know there's a bathroom down that hallway. So I put a bathroom there, and I chose to put it on the right-hand side, as you can see here. And the reason I did that is because there's enough space. If you'll look here, you can see between the den and that hallway, there would be enough space for a little half bathroom. So that's where I put it. So the mystery's solved. That's what that hallway is. So another iconic thing about the Brady Bunch house, of course, is that art piece made out of glass above the stairwell. This is a takeoff on a Mondrian. Piet Mondrian was an artist, and he's known for a lot of things, but one of his pieces of art that really caught on, we just call Mondrians, and they look like this. Here's a couple of examples. And if it looks familiar, it was also on the Partridge Family bus. In the 80s, they turned it into glass block, which kind of hurts my heart, but it gives us a clue that you can see to the outside there, so there's no wall beyond there. It's just open to the outside, which was what I was kind of guessing as I was modeling it, but that told me that's probably how it was meant to be. And now I'm going to take you on a little tour of the house. And as I do, I want you to be looking for some Easter eggs I planted, little treasures from the show. I've planted 4 objects. When the tour is over, I'll have the answers for you. See if you can spot all 4. Well, did you find all 4 Easter eggs? They were, number 1, a silver platter on the dining room table. Of course, that refers to the episode where they sang and danced as the Silver Platters in order to buy their parents a silver platter for their anniversary. Number 2, the basketball under the stairs, which of course comes from the episode where they're playing around with the basketball. It falls down the stairs, breaks Mom's favorite vase, and Bobby says, she always says, don't play ball in the house. Number 3, on Mike's drafting table, you see a bottle of whiteout spilled, and that was from the episode Father of the Year. And number 4, probably the hardest, because it might have been hard to read the label, but it was itching powder. And that's from the episode called The Slumber Caper, where the boys put itching powder in all the sleeping bags of Marcia and her friends. Well, hope you found them all. One morning I woke up to this tweet from Maureen McCormick. Awesome website, I was transported back in time. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea a cast member would be walking through my video tour. I probably would have been intimidated if I'd known. It was cool. One thing I like to do when I'm modeling TV and movie homes is figure out the approximate square feet. So I've done that with the Brady Bunch home here, and it came up for me at 3,790 square feet plus the attic. And the attic, I believe, came in around 552 square feet. And then the cost of the home, I looked it up, and it was $1.8 million in today's dollars. Now, the Brady home sold for more than that in real life recently, but that's because it's the Brady home. If it wasn't the Brady home, that would be the approximate amount in that neighborhood for that size of house. And then I always like to figure out the estimated income of the family because it rarely lines up, so it's just fun to see. And it showed the average salary for an architect in that area currently, this is estimated in today's dollars, is $200,000. But I think we could say that Mike Brady was a renowned architect or meant to be in that area. And so he probably would have made a lot more than that. So he probably really could afford this home. But I'll leave that conjecture up to you. Speaking of renowned architects, we all know Mike Brady designed the home they lived in on the show. But who are some of the real-life people making the Brady Bunch house actually come to life for us? This is Dylan Eastman. He's the mastermind behind making the interior of the Brady Bunch house come to life inside of the exterior we all know and love from the show. But that's impossible, right? Or is it? I guess we won't find out until we watch the Brady Bunch special on HGTV next month. This is Dave Clark from Dave C. Construction, and he was entrusted to get the entire project done and done on time. They had a short window of time, I think, considering the project at hand. This was no normal house construction at all. And this is Trent Venegas. He's an associate producer on this project. You might remember him in his former life from Pink is the New blog, and now he's a producer for HGTV. And this is Christina Hilbig, and she's a producer for HGTV on this project too. And this is Bob Kirsch. He's the showrunner, and that's just what it sounds like. He runs the show. So now that you know some of the key players behind the scenes of the Brady Bunch house, let's find out what's going to be on the next episode of my show, entitled appropriately, Behind the Scenes. On our very next episode, part 2 of the Brady Bunch home, we'll be exploring the kitchen, the laundry room, Alice's bedroom, which we hardly ever got to see, the family room, and we'll even take a tour of the backyard. You won't want to miss it, so come on back. To find out where you can find similar items for your home, for some of the things you've seen in the Brady Bunch house here today, including paint color, check out this page on my website called Where Can I Find Something Like This? I'll include a link below to take you there. If you like what you're seeing today and you don't want to miss an episode, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. And if you really liked seeing the design of today's home, the Brady Bunch home, I think you might like the other show I have on this channel. It's called Cinematically Inspired Design, and what we do there is we explore the design secrets from the cinema that make us fall in love with those movie homes, and we learn how to bring those principles into our own homes. There's a reason you fall in love with movie homes. Come find out why. But as for today, that's all. See you next time on Behind the Scenes.